The reduced version of Yocto Linux that ships with the board is sufficient for most basic tasks that people might want to use the Galileo for. However, it does not provide support for the Wi-Fi module, secure shell, or Python, among many other features. It does not even provide persistence for your sketches after a power loss or reboot. To take full advantage of what the Galileo can do, you must set up and use the full Yocto Linux operating system. In this lecture, I'll show you how to install the full Yocto Linux operating system and discuss some of its benefits. Let's get started. In this lecture, I'll show you how to install the full version of the Yocto operating system onto an SD card and use that to boot your Arduino Galileo with. So the advantages of why would you want to boot into the full version of the operating system? Well, there's a few good reasons. First of all, if you want Wi-Fi support, then you need the full version of the operating system because it comes with the drivers necessary to enable the functionality in this mini PCI card, which implements a Wi-Fi functionality. I'll show you that a little bit later today. There's also Python. There's a Python interpreter in the full version of the OS. Also Node.js. You get support for SSH connections so that once you have your board connected to the network via the Ethernet port, you'll be able to SSH into your board instead of using the USB to serial converter. It will give you a little bit more flexibility. There's also other things like OpenCV and ALSA for MIDI and features of that sort as well. Plus, you get a lot more space on board. You can use that space to set up a web service, for example, with collateral such as images, and you can do data logging, as I'm going to show you, and store your data on the available space on the SD card and various other similar type advantages. So the process begins with formatting your SD card. So you need to format it into the FAT file system. So I'm going to use my disk utility. On your operating system, use whichever utility allows you to format disks. So I'm going to select my 32 gigabyte SD card and erase it using just MS-DOS FAT. Don't worry about the name. And all done. Now, you need to download the image for the SD card for the full operating system. Did you do that? You go to this support page on the Intel website and you want to download this 48 megabyte compressed image. I have already done this obviously, so I'm going to go to my downloads folder. This is the expanded image. So what you want to do is to go inside the expanded version, the directory, the expanded directory of the image, select all of it and copy that. And go into the root of the SD card and paste those items at the root of the SD card. Okay, once it's done, eject the SD card. I will remove power and insert the SD card into the card reader and plug power in to reboot. Let's have a look at the reboot process now. So now the Galileo is booting from the operating system that it's found on the SD card. The first time you boot from the SD card, it will take a little bit longer, but after that, it will be faster to boot. You can see here that it's discovered that it's got access to the Ethernet port. I haven't got anything connected right now, that's why I can't find a network to connect to. Okay, so now we are at the full version of the operating system. Let's try to do the same thing as before and upload something. There's no sketch running on it right now. So let's go back to my Blink sketch and all the settings are selected and upload that sketch. Okay, sketch is now running. Now let's have a look at where the sketch resides on the operating system. So again, we'll go to sketch, and in here we've got the sketch we just uploaded. I will now reboot, but this time I'm going to reboot from the command line, just reboot. I'm just curious to see if the sketch now will persist now that we've got an SD card. Don't know if that makes any difference, but I'd like to know. Okay, and now you can see that it does persist. So the sketch persists. We've got the blinking LED. Just to be absolutely sure that this has nothing to do with the fact that I did a soft reboot on the command line, I want to simulate the situation where the board loses power in the field and then we plug it back into power. I will remove the cable for the programming, then remove power from the power adapter. No power on the board, and I'll plug the power back in and we'll let it reboot and see if the LED will start blinking again. Yes, it does. So we've got a blinking LED, so that is a major difference between the embedded Linux in the 8 megabyte flash and the full version of Linux that comes in the SD card. The fact is that in the full version of Linux, sketches persist even after the board loses power, so it behaves like a normal Arduino board. It remembers the sketch and it launches, executes the sketch once it restarts. Great, it's really good to know. Before we finish this lecture, let's check out to see if we have a Python interpreter. And yes, we do. So I can go into Python in command line and run a few Python commands, and it looks like it's all working. We've got Python. Okay, let's finish the lecture here and move on to the next lecture.